back to Stacy So and So. Thank you so much for joining me again this week. Now, you guys remember before Christmas, I had started rag quilts for my niece and nephew, and it was the first time I'd ever made them. And I am happy to report that I got some pictures made. I did a video and got them in the mail today. So they are now finally on their way to their new homes. But I really enjoyed that process so much. And I thought, using the technique, what else can I make? And I use a lot of tote bags, when I grocery shop, or, if I'm going somewhere like a craft fair, whatever, just so I have a bag that I can put everything in and I'm not carrying a bunch of little plastic bags. So I thought to myself, let's use that technique for a rag quilt, and let's upcycle some denim at the same time, because I have a whole bunch of denim and I love to upcycle it. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to make a upcycled denim rag tote bag, I guess is the best way to describe it. So let me turn the camera around and we will get started cutting up the jeans that we're going to use. Okay, so I bought these jeans at our local thrift store, Heart and Hand. I think I got them for like $4 or $5. They don't look like they've ever been worn. I mean, the tags weren't still on them, but I mean, this denim is still so dark and the thread, nothing is faded. So I thought these would be a great thing, great pair to upcycle. So as you can see, I've got my 9x9 square on here. And I think I haven't decided if I'm going to do it, just double it, make it 18 inches, or if I want to do like 3 squares in the front and 3 squares in the back. We'll kind of play with that as I go along. But that's another reason I bought these jeans, because they're so wide-legged almost all the way down. I mean, this right here is seam to seam. So that's not a whole lot to cut off, but I will eventually use this. Now, the other thing I was thinking, just to kind of like give it a little bit more interest so it's not all the same kind of denim, this is a pair of work jeans from my husband. Now, I'm not going to use it for the main body of the jeans, because these, you can see, he really, look at that, rip the crotch out. He really puts a hurting on his work jeans. But I do want to take these pockets off, because I thought that would be great to use either on the inside or the outside. And then I will probably cut strips and kind of blend it and use some of this as well for the handles. So that way we kind of get both a contrast of light and dark. Now, to line it, because I do want to put, fabric on the inside, I'm going to take a look at what kind of flannel I have and kind of see if maybe we want to do like a flannel lined jean. So let me get started. Let me get these cut up, and then I will return and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I got everything cut out. I decided to go with 3 panels on each side. So I've got 6 squares. These are 9x9. So 6 squares of 9x9 denim. And then 3 of this type of flannel for the inside. And 3 of this plaid. And then I did pick off one of the pockets from the jeans, the faded jeans, but the other one, let me grab these. This one was okay. The other one had, I guess, where my husband put his wallet in his pocket, it was just, frayed. So, but I forgot, I also had leftover from other jeans that I'd recycled. I had these, and I also have 2 like this. And then I have another one that is very similar to the pocket. There we go. It's a little different size. So I think what I'm going to do is use those pockets, not just, I won't put one decorative one on the outside, or like maybe on either side, but then on the inside, I'll use the other pockets so that you have somewhere to like put a small put your cell phone or lipstick or all of those types of things. So I guess the first thing I'm going to do is figure out which pockets I want to place where. get those pinned and sewn on, and then I will go ahead and move forward with sewing together all of the squares. Now, for the quilts, obviously I did 3 layers. I think for this project though, I'm only going to do the denim and the flannel. I don't think I'm going to put another layer in between because I think that'll still be enough, especially since the denim is so heavy. Okay, so I decided to use the pockets that have like the embroidery and the design on them. These will both go on the outside of the bag. So this will be center front and center back. And then for the inside, there we go. So you'll have 2 on one side of the bag, 2 pockets. And then for the other one, it'll be opposite. There we go. Let me lay it out. And you'll have 1 pocket on the other inside of the bag. So now I am going to sew these on, and then I'll start assembling, putting the squares together the way I want them and sewing them together. So now, as you can, I have these all pinned together. So the next thing I'm going to do, across the top, and it'll be easier for me to do this way, across the top and across the bottom, I'm just going to sew a straight seam. I'm not doing the X's through on this the way I did with the rag quilt, because obviously I don't want to sew through my pocket. And also, if I had done it even before I sewed my pocket on, then you would see the design, you'd see the stitches from where on the outside of the bag, you'd see where the pockets were sewn on. I didn't want to do that either. So the reason I'm doing just a stitch across the top and a stitch across the bottom is when I sew the bottom together and I fold it in, I don't want that ruffling, you know, that fraying on the inside of the bag, because depending on what you're putting in there, you probably don't want it covered with a bunch of fuzzies. And then across the top, I'm just stitching it in place because I'm going to take, I still have sleeves from the flannel shirts of both this and the red material, and I think I'm going to put a band around the top, and then I'm going to do the handles out of denim. So that's kind of where I am right now. And so now I'm going to get sewing, and I'll be back soon with a whole bunch of squares ready to go. Okay, so obviously squares are sewn together, and this was the front and back part of the shirt. And as you can see, I have it clipped all the way around the bag. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to first do a top stitch all the way around. Then I'm going to pull this up, press it, fold it over, and then stitch around again so that across the top you have a really pretty like plaid trim. So that is what I'm doing first. So I just wanted you to see. I'm going to stitch this on, and then when I'm done, I'll show you how it turns out. Okay, so we got the top, as you can see, sewn on. So like I said, the first thing I did was I sewed right sides together here, and then I top stitched. Then I folded it over and pinned it in place and just stitched all the way around, and did a stitch all the way around here as well. So I like that trim across the top because as this starts to fray, you can see the red plaid poking out. So now I'm ready to move on to the next part. Now, if I had only decided to do it, to make this with just 2 and make it more of a purse size, I wouldn't be doing the next step. But since I decided to make it 3 wide, I was going to add more squares below, but instead I'm going to do it kind of like, I think, what are they called from LL Bean? They're tote bags. You know how they have the solid going across the bottom, and usually, you know, an accent color that matches the handles. I'm going to do that with this with this jean leg right here. And I chose this one because I was thinking about keeping it dark so it's the same, but since I used the lighter pockets, I decided I'm going to go with the lighter jeans so that that kind of coordinates. So first thing I'm going to do is kind of figure out how much I want to add on either side, or on the front and on the back. And then I'm going to line that inside with some flannel as well. So this will actually be the bottom part of the bag. So when you sit it down, you know, at least the denim will hold up really, really well. So once I do that and I get it pinned on, I'll show you what we're going to do to move forward. Okay, so now that basically the top portion is done, I figured out how much of that leg I needed to cut and decided on how, I'm going to use most of this by folding it in and creating the bottom of the bag. So I feel really good about this. I like how this is looking, the matching of the pocket with the bottom half of the bag. And the nice thing is that since I put the wrong sides together, it will be like this. When I snip it, you're going to see the same plaid in here. So I'm going to get this sewn together, do the bottom portion of the bag, and be right back. So to box the corners, so I got the bottom all sewed on, but I wanted the bag obviously to have a flat bottom. So what I did, took my tape measure, measured up 2 inches. That's and that's the amount I cut off right there. So all I did was I just put some pins across. I sewed a straight stitch and then followed up with a zigzag stitch and then cut off the excess. And I did that on both sides. So now the bag will at least have a flat bottom to it. So you can see I did that side and then I turned it around. And you want to just line up that seam that you sewed. Measure up 2 inches. Pin it in place. Cut. Straight stitch. Zigzag. So it is now done. I got all of the snips all the way around, as you can see. So I'm really happy with the way this bag turned out. Just a little overview. Remember, we got one pocket on the front, one pocket on the back, and then on the inside of this one we have one inside pocket, and then on the other side, as you can see, there's one there, 2 inside pockets. So it gives you plenty of room to carry all of your electronics and your gadgets. Okay, just so you can get an idea of just how big this bag is. Look at that. You can get so much. It'll be perfect for, farmers markets, craft markets, going to the beach or the lake, put your towels and stuff in it. I love the way it turned out. Thank you for joining me again this week. I hope that you enjoyed this video about how I made what I'm going to call a rag tote, since it's based off of the rag quilt design. I love the way it turned out. I'm really happy that, all of this fabric, everything that I used was upcycled. I didn't buy any of this fabric. This was upcycled flannel shirts, the plaid. The denim were jeans that, the lighter denim were work jeans of my husband's that he got a hole in his britches in a place where I couldn't fix it. And same with the lighter denim. The darker denim I did technically purchase, but they were like a $4 or $5 pair of jeans. So anyway, I hope you were inspired by this. I hope you decide that you want to make one for yourself. I know I didn't talk about how to make the handles, but that's really a simple process. You could make a tube and turn it if you have really strong hands. I had to improvise on that because my denim was so stiff, I could not get it to turn. And as far as width, I just kind of looked at it and decided how wide I wanted it to be. Doubled that with a little extra so you have seam allowance. But yeah, it's really easy to make strap. And you can actually buy handles if you want to. You don't have to make your own. You can go and buy webbing, whatever you like to use for handles. So Anyway, thank you so much for joining me again this week. I really appreciate it. Next week, I will be back with another bag tutorial. I'm going to be continuing the process on making the Bermuda bag cover, because if you saw my short from a few days ago, the piping finally came in. It was so funny. When I started the project, I thought, oh, I have everything, this is great, and I realized I don't have piping. I could have made some, but anyway, I found some online that I love from a little shop on Etsy, so it all worked out. So anyway, I hope to see you again next week. Again, we are going to be making a Bermuda bag cover. So if you love or miss your 1970s, 1980s Bermuda bag, I hope you'll join me. So until next week, happy sewing.